are thinking, no matter what monetary policy the Fed adopts, well, that's this evening, London time, of course, no matter how the U.S. labor report data and CPI data change, that was yesterday, it can neither change the fact that silver is about to dry up, nor prevent the outbreak of silver depletion crisis. Wednesday, June 14th, 2023, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. We're going to look at silver extinction today. Yes, the supply of silver is quickly running out, and the reserves of silver are very scarce. So we're going to look at some analysis done by a Chinese analyst. I've gotten in contact with him through Twitter. He sent me some of his work. I'd love to have him on the channel, but he said his written English is a lot better than his spoken English, but maybe one day he'll come on. And that's what we're going to look at today. Before I start, I like to say that if you're new to the channel and you enjoy my content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit the little notification bell as well to be notified of all my new videos. And yeah, make sure you share my content with people that you think would be interested as well. It always helps to get the message out. And what's the purpose of my channel? Well, the purpose of my channel is to look at the economy, the markets, with a different perspective from the mainstream. And that's why I call myself the home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So I would say that the saying, there is no such thing as a free lunch, pretty much defines what I try to tell people or try to give my opinion on things, not just in the markets, but the economy, monetary policy, money and banking. And of course, being the home of alternative economics, I espouse sound money as well, because that's something we haven't had for over half a century worldwide. But anyway, you might be wondering where Rudy is. He didn't want to stay up there today. He's underneath the desk here. He's very comfortable. We went to puppy training last night. He did very well. We're doing a level 2 puppy training. So yeah, back to silver. And if China Bai, that's how I call him. His name is Bai Xiaojun. My pronunciation might not be that good in Chinese, excuse me. If what he's talking about comes to fruition, we could see probably one of the biggest bull markets ever in any commodity, as he talks about or writes about in his work. No other natural resource has ever gone extinct. And I just want to reiterate that what he means here is that it's going to go extinct. It could go extinct for the major silver producers. Yes, there will be some countries out there that still have silver for another 50 years, silver reserves that they could exploit. But that would take another 20 years to develop. And he takes data from the US Geological Survey. So it's all official data, and he looks at consumption of silver in China and other countries and the production. So yeah, if this comes to fruition, it's going to be pretty astounding. And his argument is that it's more important for silver to be available for industrial use, because it's very important for the development of new technologies, especially alternative technologies, photovoltaics, solar panels, and China has a huge program for developing their technologies regarding related to that. Up until 2035, the Chinese like to have these plans. Of course, I'm not judging China here. I'm just saying what they have. And he said it could be really a disaster for civilization if we run out of silver, if silver becomes really scarce. So that's the general idea. What I'm going to do now is go over one of his articles from September 2021. Try to go over it fairly quickly. I have asked him recently whether I can publish these articles he's written, because they're not on any website. If I could put it on the Maneco64.net blog. So if I get permission from him, hopefully you'll be able to go into my blog and read them as well. But if you want, you can pause the video here while I read, or later on. So, the Impending Eruption Crisis, Silver Extinction, Xiaojun, Bai, China, 25th September 2021. So, our concern: China is one of the world's 5 largest silver consumers, with an average annual silver demand of 6,300 tons in the last decade, according to the 2011-2020 data released by the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS. China's average annual silver mineral production is only 3,350 tons. About 3,000 tons of supply gap depends on imports. The key point of our anxiety is that China's proven silver resource reserves was only 41,000 tons by 2020. From this year, if the current mining rate would keep unchanged, there will be only 11 years of silver mining life. By 2032, China's silver reserves will be exhausted, and underground silver deposits will be extinct. From 2033, 1,600 tons of China's static silver demand will all rely on imports, and the relationship between global silver supply and demand will be worse dramatically. Now you can understand why there's so much geopolitical tension. Maybe in the background, in the smoke-filled room, so to speak, the Americans and the Chinese are negotiating on this. For the public, of course, they tell us it's they got a problem with Taiwan. Who knows? I'm just speculating here. So let's continue. Our concern is also the world's concern. According to the data released by USGS of the US, the global silver production was 25,000 tons and the reserves was 500,000 tons in 2020. According to the current mining speed, the underground silver resources would disappear in 20 years. Mine output would be reduced to zero. And this is the important one, I think. The significant one is the situation in Mexico, as he says. He says it's more serious. Mexico is currently the country with the highest silver production in the world, with an average annual output of 5,600 tons in the last decade and only 37,000 tons of resource reserves by 2020. According to the current mining rate, the resources will be exhausted by the end of 2026. And the output will be reduced to zero. The panic of silver crisis is only 5 years away. Well, now it's only 3 years away, I would say. That was from 2021, this piece of research. It is 57,000 tons of total silver resource reserves compared to 3,500 tons of the total annual mining in other countries behind the top 10 silver producing countries in the world. By 2036, these countries will have no silver to mine and the silver deposits will be extinct. Only because of the silver resources extinction of China, Mexico, and the countries behind the top 10 silver producing countries, the global annual supply of silver will be reduced to 15,450 tons. In other words, by 2036, the global silver production will be less than 10,000 tons. Meanwhile, demand will still remain above 30,000 tons. So here's the timetable that he gives of silver resource extinction. And this is calculated from 2021. And this is released by USGS. Silver depletion does not occur at an average rate in various countries. Different countries have different resource reserves and mining speeds, and therefore the order of silver depletion is also different. In 2026, when silver resource in Mexico, the largest silver producer, dries up, there will be a silver panic. As China's resource dries up, it will exacerbate the silver panic. In the following years, silver-producing countries will be continuing to announce the depletion of silver, and the panic would continue to spread all over the world until complete disappearance of silver underground deposits. Mankind will face the extinction of an important natural resource for the first time. The concern aggravates our crisis awareness. According to the 2011-2020 data released by UK Silver Institute, China's industrial demand for silver currently accounts for about 60%, up to 3,500 tons. Over the past decade, the silver demand of China's industry has increased by more than 50%, which is the fastest growing country in the world and one of only two growing countries. The other is UK. China has just formulated the release of the 14th five-year plan, which contains the outline of long-term goals for 2035. High-tech industries and green energy will be greatly improved, including 5G, 6G, AI, computer chips, solar energy, clean energy power stations, electric vehicles, smart appliances, medical technology, space stations, etc. Do I agree with any of these technologies 100%? No, but I'm just giving you an idea of why there will be a lot of demand for silver. China's industrial demand for silver will continue to grow at a high speed. The industrial demand will exceed 5,500 tons by 2030. Facing the global panic of silver crisis triggered by the silver depletion in Mexico in 2026 and the exhausted silver in China in 2032, China has to answer how to ensure the realization of the National 2035 High-Tech Development Strategy, how to solve the problem of serious shortage of silver resources. Just have a sip of my tea here this morning. So this is where price comes in. China has a strong sense of crisis. The dilemma of industrial demand will also appear in silver industrial demand countries such as the US, Germany, UK, Japan, and South Korea, etc. By 2030, the world's total demand for silver will rise to 35,000 tons because Mexico's silver minerals will return to zero and China will be very close to zero. The global supply will drop to 16,000 tons, and the serious shortage of supply will aggravate the silver resource crisis. And I mean, this number could be even higher than 16,000. He might be overestimating the supply drop, but even if it's 2025, there will still be a big shortage. So we're almost there at the end here. This is his debate. It says our debate. It is said that the alternative materials would be found to reduce the demand of the silver industry. The physical and chemical properties of silver are unique. Its high ductility, high conductivity, high thermal conductivity, and optimal reflectivity determines its irreplaceable role in high-tech electronic industry and green energy. Perhaps mankind could find new materials to replace silver in the future, or scientific and technological development would innovate materials and processes. But these visions cannot be completed within 20 years. At this time, silver will be nearly exhausted. It is sad that the silver resource reserves in Poland and Australia would have a mining period of more than 50 years at current mining rate, and the situation would not be so bad. Yes, we say that the silver resource crisis refers to the disappearance of resources in major silver producing countries, which leads to the deterioration of global supply and demand. Individual countries with high reserves and little exploitation would postpone the depletion period, but their production is far from meeting world demand. A little bit of silver supply is not of a little bit of value and significance to the development of global industry and the continuation of civilization. Some people say that the supply of silver can be increased and the relationship between supply and demand can be eased by explaining the production scale. Note that we are concerned with the depletion of silver resources. The more we dig, the faster the depletion of silver and the earlier the crisis will break out. That's a paradox, I would say. The more we dig, the more it depletes. Our thinking, no matter what monetary policy the Fed adopts, that's this evening, London time, of course, no matter how the U.S. labor report data and CPI data change, that was yesterday, it can neither change the fact that silver is about to dry up, nor prevent the outbreak of silver depletion crisis. Human beings can only seek new mineral resources, find new substitutes, and develop innovative materials and processes to get rid of the blow of silver depletion, but it takes time. Measures must be taken to delay the silver depletion period, and it's best more than 40 years, so as to human beings to find alternatives in developing new materials and processes. The most effective way is greatly increasing the price of silver and meanwhile strictly controlling the amount of silver mining. It will delay the depletion period of silver. The long-term extremely low price is the basic reason for the waste of silver resources and the serious lag of recycling technology. If the price of silver reaches 3 or 4 digits an ounce, the waste will be greatly reduced, and research and development of silver recycling technology will make significant progress. A significant increase in the price of silver will restrain the demand in non-industrial fields such as jewelry, silverware, silver coins, and bars in order to ensure the needs of industrial application. I'm going to skip this paragraph about the China space station and we'll go to the end here. It's time to face the silver crisis seriously. The extremely low price that seriously deviate from the principle of resource balance value should be corrected immediately. In accordance with the Dodd-Frank Act passed by the U.S. Congress on July 15th, 2010, the naked short selling to manipulate the price of silver should be strictly prohibited and classified as a crime. For the first time, mankind will face an extinction disaster of natural resources. We have only one Earth. The silver resource of the Earth is very limited and will be exhausted. Protecting silver resources is to continue human civilization. Take action, build a protective wall of price, and overcome the silver crisis with the silver revolution. So there you go. And of course, this is not the reason, or wasn't the reason initially why I started buying silver. I started buying silver because it's money, it's precious. it's been undervalued for many, many decades. One could argue for a century. And this is developing though now. Silver's becoming very important for industrial use. And China, of course, is it's going to be the biggest economy very soon. And they need silver. They need a lot of other resources. And what's happening now is the culmination of all the manipulation. And yes, it's been frustrating for those silver stackers or the silver squeeze movement, which is actually a very young movement compared to how long silver bugs and gold bugs have been around. So yes, what China Bai is talking about is the fact that all this manipulation has led to this situation where we could have basically an almost extinction of silver resources. And why is that? Well, because silver has been wasted and kept under the thumb of the bullion banks, under the thumb of the Pilgrim Society, right? Of the silver users for so long that yes, there isn't that much silver around anymore. Yes, there are reserves in countries like Australia and Poland, and they could keep it going for a long time, but it won't make much difference to the supply-demand equation. And the only way to solve the problem, as Bai says, is much higher prices. That will probably encourage a lot of people like you and me eventually to exchange our silver for other assets. And that silver will be used for industrial use and for the good of society. It's not just going to be sitting here on my desk and in forms of bars and coins. Does it mean I'm going to get rid of my silver? Who knows? It all depends on price and purchasing power. So there you go. I found it really interesting. Hopefully I'll get Bai on the channel and he can talk to us about it. So now let's quickly check where the markets are this morning. It's 10 to 9 a.m. London time. We got spot gold up $7 at 1951. Highs right around here. And the low has been 1942. Silver is up 22 cents or 1%, 23.89. High's been 90 and the low 64. The other thing Bai has noted, and you should follow him on Twitter. Here's his Twitter handle. If you're on Twitter, the price in Shanghai, in the Shanghai Futures Exchange, is settling like 60 to 50 cents higher every day than the world price, the LBMA or COMEX price, which is pretty interesting, I would say. The stock market futures are pretty unchanged, so I won't go through them. The currencies as well, they're fairly unchanged. Let's check out the other currencies here. Aussie dollar is up 0.25%, just below 68. And the dollar is down slightly versus the Canadian dollar. The Kiwi dollar is up 0.25, 61.60. So yeah, pretty steady markets, awaiting for the Fed announcement and the press conference later on today. The announcement is at 7 p.m. London or 2 p.m. Eastern time. And then the press conference starts, I think, half an hour later. Jay Powell. To the general commodities, WTI crude is up 1%, just above 70. Brent's trading around 75. It's up 1% as well. We've got platinum up $3 at $9.85. So platinum has lost the $1,000 level. Seems undervalued to me too. High grade copper is down 0.5% at $3.82. And now to the bond market. Yeah, and gilt yields continue to go higher yesterday. And today, the 2-year yield is around 4.90. It has been as high as 495. We saw some GDP data for the UK. They weren't that great. They're up an anemic amount, like 0.1, 0.2. And I saw that industrial production and manufacturing production drop more than expected. Construction spending as well was not good. So I don't think the UK economy is doing that great. Anyway, we're going to keep an eye on the bond market too. And it will be interesting as well to see how the markets react to the FOMC and the press conference. But as China Bai said, in terms of silver, it doesn't really matter what the data is, what the Fed does. What matters is the supply and demand. And I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, you've been saying this for years. You know, silver never does anything. Well, and it's probably one of the most hated investments out there. And I would say that's probably the best time to acquire that investment or commodity. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.